So, chapter 11, what to do with emotions. If you skip straight to this chapter, you may be looking for the answer to emotional pain. What is the thing that makes it all go away? Well, if this is you, bear with me. Please don't close the book just yet. But what I'm about to tell you is the opposite of what you're probably hoping to hear. Somewhere in the middle of a clinical training, we had an introduction to mindfulness. You might think that's a bunch of trainee clinical psychologists would be open minded enough to sit and learn patiently. But the room was full of giggles as we all tried to sit in silence and notice what we felt. Clinical training is all about doing, getting things done. We're all firmly in doing mode. To shift into just being was providing a challenge for everyone in the room, much to the teacher's annoyance. At the time, I admit I was full of judgments about how I couldn't see myself using this or teaching it to anyone. But it's a part of the program, so I had to try it out. As training progressed and became more stressful, I found myself in the midst of assessment season, with a thesis to write and exams looming. Tension was high. One of my favorite tools for stress management at the time was running. I took a break from the desk and went out for a run throughout the local countryside. My head was buzzing with to-dos and fears about getting things done and about getting it right. I had another go at using mindfulness, this time while I was moving. I followed a long gravel track through the woods and listened to the sound of my feet hitting the stones. I allowed the feelings of my anxiety and stress to be with me. I didn't try to push them away. I didn't try to plan or problem solve. Every few seconds, my mind would be off, telling me about the things I should be doing instead of this, offering up worst case scenarios and missing deadlines, failing assignments, and an email I needed to send when I got back home. Every time, I let the thoughts come, and every time, I let them pass behind me and return to the sound of my feet hitting the gravel. I must have gone through the process 1,000 times. Distract, pull back. Distract, pull back. On my way home, as I approached the end of the track, it hit me. I realized what it was all the academic texts were struggling to convince me of. I still had all the same hurdles to face, but I wasn't facing against the tension. I was allowing it to pass, so that's what it did. The idea of welcoming all emotional experience feels almost alarming at first. It is the opposite of what many of us are taught to do with feelings. We are taught that feelings are the opposite of rationality, something to be squashed down and hidden, pushed back to the back of your mind, unspoken, but allowing them to rise up and even welcoming it. Many of us fear emotions, that is, until we begin allowing ourselves to experience them and understand that they all rise and fall like waves. Mindfulness enables us to use the tool of awareness. Awareness sounds very basic and rather vague, but it is a tool we never know we need until we use it. Switching off the autopilot and building awareness of thoughts, emotions, urges, and actions adds into the amber light before the green light flashes and we act on the urge or emotion. It offers us the chance to consciously pause where autopilot may have driven us forward. So we give ourselves a more chance to make difficult choices based on our values rather than simply responding to emotion. As an artist works closely on a small detail of a large painting, she will occasionally take a step back and check that each new action fits in within the vision she has for the whole picture. The metacognition tool of pausing between emotion and action is the same process of stepping back, even just for a moment, to check in with your thoughts and actions to see if they will be in line with the person you want to be. The ability to check in on the bigger picture, even for the smallest of moments, can have a powerful impact on the way we live life. As the river of constant thoughts flows, We get to put our head above water and check those thoughts are heading in the direction we want to move in. We can consider that direction in the context of our meaning and purpose, and not just move with the flow because that is the way it naturally goes. See emotions for what they are. Seeing emotions for what they are is the key to being able to process them in a healthy way. You are not your feelings, and your feelings are not who you are. The sensation of an emotion is an experience that moves through you. Each emotion can offer you information, but not necessarily the whole story. If there is something emotions are pretty useful for, it's telling you what you need. When we allow ourselves to feel emotions without blocking it out or pushing it away, we can turn towards it with curiosity and learn. Discovering what we need is even more valuable if we then use that information to do what is necessary and meet those needs. I think it is always useful to start with the physical. As we discussed in previous chapters, no amount of therapy or psychological skills is going to overturn the destructive impact of poor sleep or diet and lack of physical activity. Once we start taking care of the body we live in, we are already well on the way of being able to put the work on the rest. Pick a name. When you feel something, give it a name. Learn lots of names for lots of emotions. We don't always feel happy, sad, fearful, or angry. We feel vulnerable and ashamed, bitter and grateful, inadequate and excited. In therapy, a lot of work is put into this. Notice what you feel. Notice where you feel it in your body and label it. It is common for people to recognize the physical sensations, but have no idea what the emotion is. Perhaps a legacy of past teachings that we don't talk about emotions. Nobody needed a name for each different emotion because they never voiced it out loud. But they were able to pick it out of the physical manifestation of it because it has always been more acceptable to tell someone you feel sick and have a pounding heart than to say you feel vulnerable and insecure. Increasing your emotional vocabulary so that you can distinguish finally between different emotions helps you regulate those emotions and choose the most helpful responses in social situations. Self-soothing. When painful emotions become intense, it is very easy to say they will rise, peak, and descend. But the reality of that experience can be excruciating and lead to strong urges to do unhealthy or even dangerous things to make it disappear sooner. When some self-help books might tell you that you can just think positive thoughts to change how you feel, I would say that it's going to be a struggle. Trying to change how you think is hard enough when you're feeling fine. Trying to change those thoughts that arrive at the height of distress feels nearly impossible. When we are overwhelmed, the best strategy is to step back and be mindful of that emotion as much as possible. See it as a temporary experience, and to turn down the dial on our threat response by soothing our way through it. In a therapy called dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT,
I was in DBT.
We teach individuals how to soothe their way through distressing emotions with simple skills that can help you ride the wave until it comes back down. These are called distress tolerant skills. One of those skills is it's called self-soothing. Self-soothing is any set of behaviors that can help you to feel safe and soothe as you experience a painful emotion. When your threat response is triggered, the message being received by your brain is, "We are not safe. All is not okay. Do something about this now." If we want that distressing emotion to stop escalating and to start processing of coming back down to baseline, we need to feed our body and brain new information that we are safe. There are always lots of ways that we can do this because your brain takes its information from each of your senses. That means you can use each of those to send a message to your brain that you are safe. Your brain also takes its information from the physical state of your body, including your heart rate, breathing rate, and muscle tension. This is why physical experiences that relax our muscles, such as a warm bath, can be effective in contributing to getting you through distress. Other self-soothing areas include a warm drink, a chat with a trusted friend or loved one, physical movement, calming music, beautiful images, slow breathing, relaxation techniques, a scent of perfume you associate with safeness and comfort. One of the quickest ways to tell your brain that you are safe is actually through your sense of smell. Finding a scent that you associate with safety and comfort, maybe the perfume of a loved one or a lavender scent that you find calming, can be helpful in helping you to focus your mind and calm the body at the same time. For those who struggle with distressing emotions when out in public, here's an example. Popular choice in therapy has been to carefully unstitch a soft toy, fill it with lavender, and sew it back up. Then whenever you are out in public and start to feel overwhelmed, you can just breathe in that scent and ground yourself. Soothe yourself through it without anyone even noticing. A great tool that is often used in DBT is to create self-soothing boxes. The reason this is such a great idea is that when you're in emotional pain, at the height of your distress, your brain is set up to bypass your problem-solving capabilities. If you're under threat, you don't have time to think things through. This is when your brain makes a quick guess for you and acts on impulse. A self-soothing box is something you prepare in advance. When you're able to think through what most helps in times of distress, grab an old shoebox and fill it with anything that can help you soothe when you're in distress. As described above, anything that you associate with a feeling of safety and comfort is great things to include. I have a self-soothing box in my therapy room that I use as an example. Inside that box is a note to a particular friend. Seeking help may not be our first thought when we are struggling, but following a simple instruction is to call a trusted friend that can steer us in the right direction. As we may know from the previous chapters, human connection helps us recover from stress more quickly. Other things that I have included in my self-soothing box are a pen and a pad of paper. If you cannot bring yourself to talk, then expressive writing has been shown to help process emotion and make sense of what is happening. The box could also include lavender oil or any other scent that you associate with comfort, some photographs of people who care about you and whom you care about, and a list of soothing or uplifting music tracks to play. Carefully chosen music can have a powerful impact on our emotional state. Create a playlist of tracks that will help you feel calm, safe, and soothed when you're distressed. My box always includes a tea bag because in England we associate tea with comfort and connection. Including something like this in the box is simply a clear instruction to follow when you might otherwise be struggling to think through what you need. Crucially, keep that box somewhere that is easy to find when you might need it. This tool is all about making things easier for you to cope in the way that you want to during the toughest times, to help you stay away from the less than healthy habits when you are vulnerable to using them. Chapter summary. You are not your feelings, and your feelings are not who you are. A sensation of emotion is an experience that moves through you. Each emotion can offer you information, but not necessarily the whole story. If there is something emotions are useful for, it is telling us what we need. When you feel something, give it a name. Try to label emotions with more detail than just happy or sad. Allowing emotions to be present and soothe your way through rather than blocking them out.